If you have some trauma with Excel pivot tables, don't worry, because Google Sheets pivot tables are a lot more user-friendly. So in this video, I'm going to show you a few tricks to make your life even easier. And we'll use this data set right here. And what this is the sales of 2025. And we have all the regions, the associates, the company size, the amounts, and the close dates. Normally, when people create a pivot table, they'll select the range that currently exists, go to Insert, Pivot Table, select either a new sheet or an existing sheet. I'll go ahead and select an existing sheet and hit OK. So let's say I want to see the total amount sold per company size. I can drop company size under rows, and I can drop amounts under values. And just like that, I can see exactly how much were sold in each company size. And this leads me to my first tip. Instead of only selecting the current data set, go ahead and add more. So for example, if I add myself, Olin Chansey, we'll say enterprise. I'll put a huge number just to prove a point, and we'll say I closed this on August 1st. Now, if I go all the way up here, nowhere to be found. And that's because it only goes through row 437. In reality, I'm in 438. So what most people do is they'll simply adjust the range to include everything that's in the new range. And now it's currently there. You can see it now. I have 10 million. That was me. That's adding more work. We don't want to do that. So instead, we're going to go all the way through the end of column E and press enter, and it will show you a bunch of blanks with 0. And that's because since we're going all the way through the end of column E, it's calculating everything for the blanks as well. But all you have to do is simply drag company size under filters, filter by condition, and select is not empty. And just like that, you'll have all the empty cells omitted from your range, but it will go all the way through the end of the column. So that way, if something else is added later on, it will automatically be included. So for example, I can go all the way down here to the bottom. Let's say East. I'll put whatever this is. We'll put small business, whatever this is, and we'll put the close date as September 6th. So even though it's way down here after a bunch of spaces, it's automatically going to be included in the range without ever having to reconfigure anything. So that's exactly what you want. The next tip is strategic sorting. So let's say we want to sort based off the company size that has sold the most at the very top, and it goes down from there. All you have to do is click on Edit. Right here where it says company size, sort by, we'll sort by the sum of the amount, and then it automatically defaults to ascending. So under order, we'll drop that down to hit descending. And now in just a matter of seconds, you'll be able to see exactly which company sizes performed the best. Now let's say we want to have custom groups. So we want to group mid-market and small businesses, and we want to have enterprise and large enterprise. A lot of people would add a helper column right here and add a new column, but you don't have to do that. All you have to do is select the cells that you want to group, and if they're not next to each other, you can simply hit Command or Control, right-click, and select Create Pivot Group. And from there, it will group those together. So I'm going to say non-ENT, and then I can do the same thing for the enterprise. So I'll right-click, select Create Pivot Group, and I'll rename those as ENT. And ENT is just short for enterprise. So now you have the breakdown of each individual company size, and you have the subtotal for each group. If you only want to include the grouped company size and get rid of the original company size, all you have to do is click X to remove those from the rows, and you have that data right there, and it works the same exact way as if it was a group on your data set. Now let's say we have all the regions, and we want to see how each region performed each quarter. All we have to do is drag close date under columns, and you'll see here we have an error message. The reason why we have an error message is because the close dates are each individual days, and there's just too many to fit into my columns. But here's the workaround. I'm going to go ahead and drop close date under filters. I'll clear everything except for one date, and that's all we need. I'll right click on the date, go to Create Pivot Date Group, and we're going to say year-quarter. And when I do that, it will automatically extract the year and the quarter from that date. And now I can delete that close date filter, and I have plenty of room to execute. So I can see exactly how much was sold in each region in Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. If I don't want to see the totals, all I have to do is uncheck Show Totals, and I can do that for either the rows or the columns. And if you want to see a different metric instead, you can right-click, go back to Create Pivot Date Group, and let's say instead of a year and quarter, I want to see the year in the month. I can see that right there. So it's super dynamic instead of having to have a helper column that extracts it from the date. And since it's still in date form, we could easily filter by just specific date ranges. So let's say I want to see all months where the close date was after July 1st. I can go to Close Date, drop that under Filters, and I'm going to say Filter by Condition, greater than or equals to, then I'll put 7/1/2025. And that's going to be July 1st. I'll hit OK. And now you can see that the pivot table has adjusted. So the minimum is July and it goes all the way through December. But we can actually take this a step further and make it super usable. So instead of July 1st, what I'll do is I'm going to add a date pop-out calendar right here. So in G1, I'll go to Data, Data Validation, Add Rule. Under Criteria, I'll drop down and select Is Valid Date. Reject the input if it's not, and hit Done. So now I have a pop-out calendar. And we can double-click and select July 1st right there. And now instead of typing this out, we're simply going to put equals G1. And nothing's changed because it's still pointing to July 1st. But now it's even more dynamic, so I can simply update this to October 1st, for example, and it automatically filters right there. And what's cool about this is that you can set it up to have formulas based off of today's date, different things like that, and it will automatically update based off of today's date. And you can apply multiple pivot tables to that same cell, so you can update the date ranges in multiple pivot tables without having to go in and adjust it manually, causing manual work and possible discrepancies. Now let's say every quarter, the associates get a 12% commission for everything that they sell. You don't need to create a helper column. You can do that directly in your pivot table. So under values, we're going to click Add, Calculated Field. And then I'm going to go ahead and type equals. I'll put amount times 0.12. And we're doing 0.12 because that's the commissions. And just like that, we have our commissions. I can rename calculated field as commissions. And we have it right there without ever having to create a helper column. Now let's say instead of amount, it's actually listed as total sales, which is multiple words. If you try to type in total sales times 0.12, you're gonna get an error message. And that's because it's 2 words, not 1 word. So all you need to do is wrap that name inside of soft quotes and it will work the exact same. So if it's 1 word, no soft quotes are needed. And if it's 2 words, you need soft quotes for it to work. Now on a different tab, let's say you have multiple pivot tables and you want to be able to filter them in different ways. Instead of having to go in and manually filter, you can select either of the pivot tables, go to Data, Add a Slicer, and it will ask you which region you want to slice by. Let's say that I want to slice by the company size right here. I can do that. And then let's copy this, paste it to the right, and then let's double click and let's change this to close date. So now I can slice this data by the company size and the close date, even though the company size doesn't exist or the close date's variable. So let's say I want to just see mid-market. I can select mid-market and it will adjust all the data and show me just what was sold in mid-market for each region as well as each associate. Now let's say I only want to see things that were closed in Q3 or later. I can go here, go to filter by condition, and let's go ahead and say greater than or equal to, and we'll put 7/1/2025. Hit OK, and everything is going to update just like that. So this is a great way to slice and dice either pivot tables or charts, even if your data is in an entirely different place. And there's a whole lot you can do with pivot tables, so this is just a few tips and tricks. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. If you want me to cover anything specific in my next video, drop it down in the comments. And if you haven't seen my pivot table deep dive, make sure to check that out as well. Let me know if you have any questions and like and comment for more.